Evolution started millions of years ago and will continue for millions of years to come. To study and understand evolution, there is a process called paleontology. This is the study of history of life and its clues. Evolution is a never-ending process that keeps adapting to its environment to survive and reproduce. Evolution is often referred to as cumulative changes that occur in a species over time. These changes are from when the organism's genes mutate or recombine to reproduce and then are later passed on as an offspring to further generations. Sometimes from the offspring, the organism will inherit new traits and characteristics, which will help them survive and reproduce easier in their environments. For example, some insects can be resistant to chemicals and poisons. This gene can then pass on to the offspring, so they are resistant as well. This is then known as natural selection. This is when species adapt to their environment because of an unexpected danger. However, if someone trained hard and ate healthy, this cannot be passed on to their offspring and passed on to further generations. Lamarck's theory was best known as theory of inheritance of acquired characteristics. He believed that organisms change their personality and character traits and their body appearance to adapt to the environment. He said that this would then be passed on to its offsprings. An example of this is that he believed that elephants had short trunks, and that when there was no food and water, the elephants had to stretch their trunks to reach the treetops. This led to the offspring inheriting long trunks. This, however, is incorrect, and Charles Darwin's theory was correct. Charles Darwin believed that all living creatures are somehow linked and are our ancestors. He believed that all live creatures have evolved over time to better suit the environment, to become what they are today. His theory is known as modern evolutionary synthesis. This theory is sometimes considered as the survival of the fittest. Natural selection is when an individual can inhabit a new trait to be passed on to its offspring to help the species survive better. This is referred to as microevolution, but natural selection can soon enough produce a new species, which is called macroevolution. Scientists believe Charles Darwin's theory because of the evidence given, which was accepted and Lamarck's was dismissed. This was done in two serious ways. First was done by experiment. They had seen in previous real-life examples that changes done to animals and people do pass on to their offspring. Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection shows just how evolution occurs. There are lots of causes for organisms to die, some being diseases, starvation, and predators. There are not enough resources to go around the world for every organism to survive. Also, every organism is not exactly the same. If you look on a zebra, you will not find that every stripe is the same placing as another zebra. Within these differences, there are also behavioral and skill differences. And if every organism was the same, then natural selection could not happen. Scientists still use Darwin's research today, where he studied fossils and similarities between relative organisms today. They also use other methods to gather data and evidence, such as doing tests on DNA. There are 5 different pieces of valuable evidence of evolution. These include ancient organism remains, fossil layers, similarities among organisms alive today, similarities in DNA, and similarities of embryos. Genetic recombination is often referred to as molecular process. It is the transmission genetic process by which the combinations of alleles in two parental individuals become shuffled in offsprings. About 95 million years ago, the dolphin was named the Mesonyx. The species had back and front limbs, which also had backbones in them, which were used to support its weight. This would be like a tiger's front and back legs. The Mesonyx was covered with hair. It would only go in the water to hunt for food and get water. Over the next 30 million years, the Mesonyx started to adapt to its new environment, water. Its front legs then became flippers for paddling through water. Its hind legs then slowly began to disappear and become the tail of the dolphin. The dolphin lost its hair because animals don't need hair to keep them warm underwater. The size and the shape of the skull had changed over time, too. It had become larger, which is an indication that the development of the fat pad in the lower jaw had merged. The jaw ends at the dolphin's ears, which helps the dolphin to hear better. This is also how it inhabited echolocation, which is a form of communication that objects are reflected by sound. After millions of years, the nose of the land animal, which was above the mouth, gradually moved to the top of its head. This is then referred to as nasal shift. From this evidence, we can conclude that the dolphin had changed greatly over millions of years, due to the changing of the environment. Scientists have researched and found that dolphins are highly likely to inhabit an increase in their vocalization. This will help when there is a large group of fish, and they can use this to attract more dolphins to the area. This is just a theory, but only time will tell.